TravelWise with Phil Blizzard. News, views and interviews.
Hello from me, Phil Blizzard, and welcome to the Travel Podcast, TravelWise Podcast, news, views and interviews. And we've got a lot lined up for you on this podcast, our debut podcast, looking really focusing on what is happening in the ever-evolving world of travel and tourism regarding the impact of the COVID-19 virus. So what we got lined up for you in this podcast, we'll be taking a look at what is happening in terms of flights which are being suspended. We're looking at aviation news, what's happening with the subject of rebooking flights, cancelling tickets, etc. We've got some hotel news and news of events across the region which have been either cancelled or postponed, and also a little interview with someone who's from the world of travel and tourism on their take regarding COVID-19. So we're going to start off with aviation news.
TravelWise news.
Well, this is very much an evolving situation, rolling situation, you might say. Beginning of the week, Saudi Arabia said that entry into the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia from UAE, Kuwait and Bahrain will be temporarily restricted to 3 airports. Those airports being King Khalid International Airport in Riyadh, King Abdulaziz International Airport in Jeddah and King Fahd International Airport in Dammam. So that's how it was at the beginning of the week. A few days later, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia banned all flights from the UAE. So UAE carriers, Etihad, Emirates, Fly Dubai and Air Arabia no longer flying into the kingdom up until March the 12th, Thursday of this week. But again, it's a ever-changing situation, so do check with your travel agent, your airline, on any future travel plans.
TravelWise news.
News now on ticket changes, and most of the carriers, most of the airlines across the UAE have become very flexible regarding changes of tickets and postponement and cancellations. Emirates has extended its newly introduced flexible booking policy to cover all existing bookings. Previously, it would just allow travellers to adjust flights without fees, which only applied to new bookings. The airline has extended the fee waiver program to cover all Emirates flights booked on or before March the 31st. And the new regulations applies across the board in many ways. Travellers will be able to change flights to any time in an 11-month window from the original date of travel. So that's good news there. Travellers set to fly with Emirates to countries where flight suspension or travel restrictions due to COVID-19 now apply, which apply there, are eligible for rebookings or refunds. Okay, so check with Emirates on your particular details and destinations. Etihad bookings are very much the same, no change fee. The Abu Dhabi airline will allow travellers booking flights or holidays between March the 8th and April the 7th to make one change to travel plans without incurring any changes. And that applies to all destinations across the Etihad network. The airline also announced that teachers in the UAE cancelling flights because the spring break was moved can apply for full refund. So to be eligible, if you're a teacher and you've had to change your flight, cancel it, you must provide the airline with a letter of confirmation of employment from the school or education institution. Okay, so there you go. Air Arabia, based in Sharjah and also a little hub in Ras Al Khaimah, have waived fees for changes in bookings. That's news there. Airline news, just got some now. This is hot news from Emirates Airline. Under a special dispensation from the authorities in Saudi Arabia, Emirates will operate selected flights to Riyadh, Jeddah and Amman from 12th of March to the 15th. The reason for this is to facilitate the return of travellers whose journeys were disrupted by the recent travel restrictions implemented by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia as a containment response to COVID-19 outbreak. Now, only Saudi nationals will be allowed to travel on these Emirates flights from Dubai to Riyadh, Jeddah and Dammam. And because of the big summit, the G20 summit, other nationals holding permits for those attending the G20 summit will be allowed to travel to Riyadh only. So that's the latest news from Emirates. It's very much an evolving situation. Regulations and dispensations are changing all the time. So do check with your travel agent on your particular journey, okay?
TravelWise news.
Hospitality news now on my TravelWise podcast. I'm Phil Blizzard, and for latest updates, listen out for my podcast. Also listen out to my travel show on Capital Radio UAE Saturday afternoons. Wish you were here between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. when we have updates there on what is happening in the world of travel and tourism. So hospitality news, good news and not so good news. We'll start off with the bad news, you might say. And this is regarding some hotels in Dubai. Ema Hospitality, of course a subsidiary of developer Ema Properties, will stop taking bookings at 3 hotels in Dubai from March the 15th up until August the 31st due to a drop in demand. Hotels affected are the Address Fountain Views at downtown Dubai. Okay, that's the Address Fountain Views, downtown Dubai. 2 Vida hotels, the Vida Creek Harbour near Dubai Creek, and also Vida Emirates Hills, located in Ema's Emirates Hills master development. So no longer taking bookings to stay, but the hotels will continue with their facilities like gyms, restaurants, and the pool will remain open during the period, according to an Ema spokesperson. So I think we could probably expect more of those. Now, one little bit of news, and this probably will happen more and more. Staycations offers trying to attract customers into hotels or guests into hotels, especially those who cannot fly out. The first one I've got on this is Emirates Palace Kempinski, which is on Palm Jumeirah. They're offering a staycation deal which will include 30% off the best available rate, inclusive of breakfast, and 20% off any spa treatments. So that's the Emerald Palace Kempinski Hotel on Palm Jumeirah. I'm Phil Blizzard with the TravelWise podcast, news, views and interviews. We've got an interview coming up with Patrick McDermott, who's the founder of a fascinating website called Expat Flyer. We spoke to him on my travel show last week. We can have his views now on the COVID-19 virus and the impact on the travel industry. But before that, events coming away next.
TravelWise news.
Event news, and some events related to travel and tourism has been they've been basically put back. So we're starting off with an event which is due to take place in Abu Dhabi, March the 17th to the 19th, the Global Aerospace Summit, a big summit, very important for the aerospace industry. That's been put back to June the 8th to June the 10th. Also looking at AHIC and the Arabian travel market. AHIC, the Arabian Hotel Investment Conference, which has been in Ras Al Khaimah for the past 2 years. Prior to that, 8 years I think it was in Dubai. It was due to be held in Dubai in April. That's now been pushed back to early September. That's the Arabian Hotel Investment Conference. And the biggest event, you might say the biggest travel shop in the region, the Arabian Travel Market, ATM. Massive event due to take place April the 19th to the 22nd of April at the Dubai World Trade Center. It's been postponed. Organisers of Reed Travel Exhibition said the event attracts more than 39,000 professionals from the global travel industry, generates a lot of money or new business for the travel sector. That has been put back to the end of June, from June the 28th to July the 1st, talking about the Arabian travel market there. And another big event which was due to take place in Dubai as of this week, really, the Dubai International Boat Show. Big event for those involved in the world of yachting, luxury yachting and sailing, and that's been put back now to later in the year. I do believe it's going to be sometime in November. So that's the International Boat Show, put back to November. We'll keep you updated on the podcast on what's happening in the world of travel, tourism and events due to the COVID-19 virus, and also updates on my travel show on Capital Radio UAE. Coming away next, we've got an interview lined up with Patrick McDermott, who's the founder of the website Expat Flyer.
TravelWise with Phil Blizzard. News, views and interviews.
On the programme today, we're talking to Patrick McDermott, the founder of the expatflyer.com. And interesting start, taking a look at card use and points accumulated, and also that amazing competition with Etihad. So, Patrick, looking at as you said, a lot of these things are being introduced because of the current climate due to COVID-19. So, we're seeing a lot of flights being cancelled, aircraft being sort of nowhere near as full as they were a few weeks ago. So, a major impact, isn't it, on the aviation sector?
Yeah, I mean, it obviously it sounds from everything that I've heard, the demand for flights has dropped. You know, businesses are banning travel, conferences and events are being delayed, families are postponing sort of holidays. So the demand has cratered. I think what's interesting is that, as bad as it seems at the moment, that's probably going to be relatively, short-lived. The experience from SARS back in 2003 is that there was a similar drop-off in demand, but basically that had all come back within about 9 months.
Yeah, it sort of bounces back, doesn't it? And beyond aviation, just reading last week the launch by Sir Richard Branson of his new, what sounds like a fascinating cruise line in Scarlet Lady. Not the best of times to launch a new venture like that, is it? No,
I mean, it's a very sort of, unlucky for Richard Branson. But I mean, perversely, this is actually a very good time to travel. You know, the WHO is not recommending that people stop traveling. Just a few days ago, the sort of chief medical officer for Qantas reiterated the point that during the SARS crisis, there was only one documented case of someone catching, getting infected sort of in an aircraft. So provided you're taking reasonable sort of precautions, flights are cheap. There's plenty of miles bookings, tickets available on both Emirates and Etihad at the moment. Airports are quieter, cabins are emptier. It's in some ways, it's bizarrely quite a good time to be traveling. I guess the risk is people end up getting sort of stranded or, caught up in travel disruption while they're away from home and then struggle to get back. And, that's the risk, I think, that's keeping a lot of people from booking travel at the moment.
Yeah, that's very true. If you sort of go off, say, to perhaps Europe, staying in a hotel, that hotel gets people there and it's locked down, then you are stuck, aren't you? So there's that aspect. Yeah. Also, if you're sort of doing multiple flights, if you're doing a hub and the onward destination is suddenly sort of banned at the other end. So, things will bounce back eventually. But as you said, there are some advantages. Aircraft are not so full. You get more space on board the aircraft, and the airports themselves are generally quieter. So a bit of an advantage there. So just give us your website details once again, and people can sort of have a look at what we've been talking about and get more information and take advantage of their miles and points on their various cards.
So the website is called the Expat Flyer, and you can find it at theexpatflyer.com.
Patrick McDermott, thanks very much indeed for joining us, founder of the Expat Flyer. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Phil. It's been great talking to you.
TravelWise with Phil Blizzard. News, views, and interviews.
Patrick McDermott, thanks very much for joining us, and we'll have further news in our next TravelWise podcast, news of what's happening across the region and beyond. Latest news overseas. Italy's got very much a lockdown. Started off with the northern part of Italy, but now being applied to the whole country. So we'll have a look in the next few days, no doubt. We'll have news in the next few days of what is happening, what is happening in terms of flights into and out of Italy. I'm Phil Blizzard with the TravelWise podcast. It's a Phil Blizzard media production. And if you've got any news or information you want to pass on, do so by dropping me an email, philblizzardmedia@gmail.com.
TravelWise with Phil Blizzard. News, views, and interviews.